The red smoke rises on not just 2026, but also some actual honest-to-goodness roster movement. We're going to tell you today about the newest face that'll be at Energizer Park wearing City Red. We'll tell you about a potential familiar face returning in the near future. All the new faces you're going to see in preseason camp, as we got some unfamiliar names that are going to be in camp this season, how those pieces could fit into Yohan DeMay's St. Louis City lineup. Multiple coach shuffle has taken place since we last spoke, and we finally have actual soccer games being played this month, at least in a semi-competitive way. I'm your soccer zombie, Tom Franklin, welcoming you to another edition of Red Smoke Rising. I am joined by Jeremy Clements, and Jeremy, you got the memo on yellow, and I appreciate you reading that memo.
Tom, I just wanted to be twinning with you, okay? I can't help it. Maybe there was a memo. It got lost in my email, but we still connected. We've got what is it, ESP going on around here?
Something like that. And by the way, just in case you're wondering, these are not the exact same jerseys. Mine's the 2023. His is the 2025. And yours, you basically are wearing yours almost straight off the rack.
Well, I wasn't going to do it because it's embarrassing, but the tag is right here.
There it is. Authenticity right there, folks. That is, authentic right there. You love to see it. Joining us as well is Jake Henry here. Jake Henry is currently working on getting his audio sorted out right now, so hopefully we will hear him in just a little bit. But everyone wave bye to the Jake, for the moment. We'll hope to bring him in a little later on. So, first things first, we want to just let you know that Red Smoke Rising is available on all podcast platforms, streaming live on Tuesday nights on Red Smoke Rising X, as well as the STL Soccer News YouTube page. And I want to let everyone know that this will be the last month that this show will be We're back. I said this is the last show, and then all of a sudden, we got played off the stage here. Crazy. But no, this is the last time that this show will be on the Soccer Zombie YouTube. Actually, you have one more episode after this, so last month, I should say. And so after the January 27th episode, if you want to watch live, you can watch live on the STL Soccer News YouTube or the Red Smoke Rising X. So make sure you are following that STL Soccer News YouTube. I dropped a link into the chat if you are watching live. And I also want to give a quick thanks to our friends at Pat Connolly Tavern, located at the corner of Oakland and Tam in beautiful Dogtown, a St. Louis institution since 1942. It is a city on tap bar, so it is a great place to watch St. Louis City games if you can't make it out to Energizer Park, or it's a great place to watch away games, which I will be hosting watch-alongs all season long at Pat Connolly Tavern, so feel free to join me like those folks did for the Austin game. It was a good time, and is always better to watch soccer with friends. Pat Connolly Tavern, and also watch this space because we might have a live episode there in the very, very near future. All right, let's get down to business as the Corey Ray era is officially underway as St. Louis adds its first new signing of the offseason, and that being one Daniel Edelman, an actual honest-to-goodness six that truly plays like a six, Jeremy.
Yeah, Tom, it's something that I don't feel like we've really had. I guess you could call Jabolo Blum the closest thing we've had, but since his departure, and well, I guess he hit the bench first and then ultimately departed, we haven't had much since. But he's got the pedigree of a six, bona fide six at that.
Yeah, he really does. And he is someone that is already, despite being only 22 years old, he is someone that has already played 8,000 minutes in his career. He played in the MLS Cup final, former captain of the U.S. Youth National Team setup. He was in the 2023 U20 World Cup. And the fee, Jeremy, is $700,000. Basically, it's going to be $500,000 this season, $200,000 next season, and then with incentives, could push it up to $850,000. So basically, Jeremy, we are getting him for basically a little less than what we got for Indiana Vassilev.
And some people will balk at the price, but for me, Tom, this is a guy who, if you look at the deal, he's under contract through 2027. He's got an additional year of an option year in 2028, and he is 22 years old. Now, the key thing to point out, or one of the key things to point out, is that he will not take a U22 slot. So we still have roster flexibility despite the signing of Edelman. But for me, if you think about it, if we were to exercise all of the option or the single option year he has, we have him through his age 25 season and can re-sign him at that point if he deserves. So in my mind, this is a potential long-term piece because at 25, it's still like the prime of his career, basically.
It really is, and he's also someone that his contract is very reasonable. He actually makes a little less than Chris Durkin, who is the player that he is presumably replacing in this lineup. I think we're going to have an interesting discussion a little bit later on as to how this roster and how this lineup is going to actually truly shape out. And I've got some theories on where we could exactly see Chris Durkin this year, because he may not be just a 6 for St. Louis City going forward, or at least he may not be needed there, because if you've ever played center back in your career, you might want to apply to play for St. Louis City because we kind of need some help there.
Yeah, and he's only played for one club. You can see from the graphic on the screen to those watching on YouTube. If you're listening to the podcast, whether it's the next morning or later this week, he came up pretty quickly through the Red Bulls system. Was at the Player Development Academy, then Red Bulls 2 for a few seasons, and then really made his debut and kicked on with the first team up there with Red Bull New York. I'm probably still going to transpose that from time to time since they just kind of had that half-hearted rebrand. But nonetheless, he's a guy that maybe didn't fit in Michael Bradley's system. He is going to be the new manager for Red Bull. Those who follow U.S. soccer probably know the name pretty well. But he also played in MLS for a while too. But nonetheless, it's going to be interesting to see how he fits here, because both Red Bull and City are reported to be looking at more of a possession style, Tom.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I'm really curious, though, how he does fit into that possession style, Jeremy, because based on some of the things that I've read about him and his style, again, he is a ball-winning midfielder. He is, definitely a kind of, chew-on-glass type of a midfielder where his job is defense. But I've seen some mixed things on his ability to progress the ball and pass the ball, and he strikes me as someone just on paper, Jeremy, without like looking at his any past tape of his, he strikes me as someone that he needs to play alongside someone that can shuttle the ball forward and can progress the ball in a truly defined 8 role, which you would think on paper that Edouard Leuven, this might be a good pairing because the two might complement each other.
Yeah. What's up? And I see Jake has joined us, so we can bring Jake into the conversation. Jake, before we dive into what the folks from the Designated Players, which is a Red Bull podcast up in New York, they were kind enough to give us some of their thoughts on Edelman. But Jake, I'm curious, what do you make of the new City signing?
I think it'll be interesting. Just the youth aspect of it is going to be interesting. He's 3 years younger than Durkin, right?
Yes.
So I'm just going to be really fascinated to see that. And then what you guys were saying about the ball progression, I'm going to be really excited to see how he pairs up with Leuven.
Well, and not just Leuven as well, but I also suspect that we're going to see more Tomas Ostrak this year, especially because we just have no center midfield depth at this point. So, it's almost going to be like another, all hands on deck system. And Ostrak is someone, Jake, that, if you're talking about someone, to, move the ball forward while Edelman handles his business on defense, that might be a good pairing for Ostrak as well.
For sure.
Yeah, definitely.
So, guys, I'm curious real quick. I mean, if we look at the roster from last season, not to go backwards, but sometimes you go back to go forward, we depended a lot on Alfredo Morales. He played over 1,000 minutes last season. Edelman to me is going to be a massive upgrade over that, just because if you look at it, I think he played like 2,400 minutes or something like that for Red Bull last year, and he was available. Which, I mean, how many of our seasons have we been talking about injury bug right now? I mean, so to keep a guy available to me is a big deal. And what's up, Jake?
Oh, I was just crossing my fingers.
Oh, crossing your okay. So.
Jake knows the drill. He's been on this ride for a while. We all cross our fingers. We all hold our breaths. We all rub our lucky rabbit's feet, that our players stay healthy, because that has been a gigantic problem. But we've been asking around a little bit about Daniel Edelman, and getting impressions from those that would know him from his work with the New York Red Bulls. And Jeremy, you reached out to the designated players, and what do they think of one Daniel Edelman?
So on the player, Tom, they said he's pretty solid. They said he's definitely more of a 6 than an 8. I think that was one of the big questions City fans might have had when the links to Edelman broke earlier in the week from Tom Bogert and his reporting. But basically they said his best traits are tenacity, work rate, and ball winning. But again, to your point earlier, Tom, he's not a ball progressor. He will let you down in ball progression, and they recommended pairing him with a center midfielder like a Hartle or Leuven, or another of those kind of quality ball progressive players. Some people might have thought, hey, this kid's young, he's 22. We were just talking about that. Why would New York move on from him? Well, they don't think it's a shock to them. It was rumored earlier in the year that floated around for the last couple of seasons, but they cite the new manager, Michael Bradley, coming into Red Bull, wanting to favor that possession style as the reason why, that he'd kind of seen his time decrease in recent seasons as they have other homegrowns taking his spot. And I did specifically ask about possession too, Tom. And basically they said, again, you're always going to want someone there to cover ground, break up passes, and get stuck in. He is that guy, which is something we have long clamored for. I love Chris Durkin and his engine, but we know he likes to wander. It sounds like Edelman will be the stay-at-home 6 we want. Again, not going to be great in possession, has missed some passes. But, I mean, again, it sounds to me like this has the makings of adding stability to our midfield.
Well, the thing I like about that last part is that they talk about possession and passing being the weakest part of his game, but like they don't say that in the context of like he's a bad player or anything like that. It's just a glaring weakness of his. Going back to the surprise comment, and they mentioned Michael Bradley's coming in, and he's wanting to favor a possession-based system as well. But the thought was that he was sent out just because he didn't fit going forward. Kind of gives me echoes to the guy that I just mentioned earlier, Indiana Vassilev, when we sold him to Philadelphia for $1 million. The word that I had heard, with Vassilev is that, he was not going to be a fit in Olaf Melberg's system. And so that was one of the reasons that he was sent to Philadelphia. There was other reasons as well, but that was a big factor as well. So fit is going to be important with Edelman, and also just consistency as well. I actually literally, as the show started, I talked to Michael Batista with Hudson River Blue, and I had messaged him a little while ago saying, hey, what do you think of Daniel Edelman? And he describes Edelman as, quote, a good end-to-end midfielder who has leadership ability but has struggled for consistency. But he thinks he is a good pickup for St. Louis. And it's something very key to note here is that defensive-minded players, usually we talk about this in the context of center backs, usually need a little bit of extra time to mature and a little extra time to kind of grow in their role per se. I think with someone that is a defensive-minded defensive midfielder, that could also apply here as well when you're talking about that consistency. He's only 22 years old, so as our club is going to have growing pains on the field this year, just because we got so many holes and so many, so much transition going on under a new system, it sounds like Edelman's going to have to kind of grow into his spot here in St. Louis, which honestly, Jeremy and Jake, I don't mind letting someone like Edelman come here, and continue to grow here. And hopefully, in maybe when it comes time to 2027, 2028, when we need a new contract, he's worth a new contract.
I mean, that's the hope. My hope is that he turns into that, like I said, that kind of core piece of a spine. We talked about, in 2023, the dream of a spine of being like a Leuven and a Nilsson, right? And that didn't work out as well as we'd hoped. I'm actually very hopeful that this will work out in our favor. Jake, what thoughts do you have?
I mean, I'm as hopeful as anyone else. I'm just really glad to finally have that stability there, because we've gone through Blom, we've gone through Durkin, we've gone through all those guys, and now hopefully this guy is the guy.
And that's what we want. We just want some stability.
And go ahead, Tom.
I was just going to say as well, you mentioned Blom. Blom, I will never forget in 2023 when Blom finally got healthy. And he finally got adjusted to America and, got over the thing with the South African team. Blom had everything working against him here in St. Louis. But for a brief moment, Blom looked like that Terminator 6 that we had been wanting this whole time. It just didn't work out for him. So, Jeremy, I'm with Jake. I want stability in that position. And it's something that we've never had as an organization.
We haven't. And there's one thing too that, as you talk about a core of this team, right? You stabilize in the midfield. Let's just spin the ball forward a little bit. Let's say, we keep Leuven, we extend Leuven. Okay. We've got Hartl for a few more seasons. Let's say that this this deal works out for us. There's another center midfielder in the organization that a lot of people are hoping develops into something, as he's had kind of taken a step forward with City too, in Miguel Perez.
Mm-hmm.
Is start to kind of think about Corey Ray talking about sustainability, pathways, building for the future. I'm just saying that there's some of the groundwork, I feel like, with this trade to open the potential for that if everything goes right.
Well, it's going to be a next man up type of a situation if we don't get any more reinforcements in the center midfield position before the season starts, because as Corey Ray, as it was noted actually in preseason, Tomas Ostrak is not practicing. He's kind of running all, he's off doing workouts to the side, but that's a center midfielder that maybe we won't be able to count on right away. Of course, Edouard Leuven, we have to be cognizant of his personal situation, which we all hope for the best for him. Honestly, it's been a rough ride for him, and our thoughts are with him truly. But beyond that, those are your two eights, in theory. And so you're looking at a next man up proposition with Miguel Perez, who, Jake, we both watched him at City 2 last year. It looked like he was taking some steps forward after a tumultuous loan at Birmingham the year before.
Definitely looked like a man reborn.
Yeah. And also maybe someone that would relish a chance. At least, I don't think you want him as an everyday starter at this point, but you also kind of want to see what you got. You want to see what you got with him. So a few comments in the chat, by the way. If you're watching live on YouTube, welcome. If you're watching on the podcast and you want to join us for the conversation, you know where to find us. I dropped those earlier. Fetlord Colton saying that we should have sold Olaf to Philly and kept Indy Vasilev, and that got some amens in the chat. Love to see it. And I don't necessarily disagree either. And also, Drew Young feeling that it'll be either Edelman or Durkin in the yellow card race this year. So, of course, that all depends on how much playing time Durkin does get. And that could be affected by another familiar face coming back to St. Louis, Conrad Wallem. Reports from Infotball in Europe on Friday saying that he is going to be signed permanently to St. Louis City SC from Slavia Prague. They noted that his situation in St. Louis was much better than it was at Slavia Prague, and so Wallem will continue in the MLS. And they go on to say for Wallem, Slavia would get more than what they paid for him. So they paid, in 2023, they paid 1.5 million euros for Conrad Wallem to bring him in from Ode in Norway. I think that's how you say it. There's gonna be a lot of that this episode, by the way. I think that's how you say it because we got some names coming up. But with bonuses, they quote that the amount that St. Louis pays for Wallem could exceed 2 million euros. So Conrad Wallem, when I saw that report, I'm thinking, there's our left wing back. Jeremy, where is that? Where you see Wallem this year?
Barring any other changes or substantial outgoings, yes, I think that's where he slots in the cleanest. I think it fills that glaring need. It isn't meant to be a slight, but I don't want to see a Roscoe or Hebert out there. I think that's where he fits if the season were to start today.
Yeah, I see that as well. Jake, what do you think about Conrad coming back? Do you think if if the price tag is correct, do you think he's worth it?
Yeah. I mean, he's not a designated player. That's all I really care about from the transfer fee standpoint. And I do want to piggyback on what Jeremy was saying about not having Roscoe or Hebert on the wing or as a wing back. Olaf tried that last preseason with Hebert. It did not work out well at all.
Mm-mm.
And I just don't think we can risk making that same mistake.
Yeah, if your friend Brian Simpson was here, Jake, he would be screaming into a pillow because of that experiment at wingback. That was definitely a choice.
I bet he's just glad it's not Pedro.
All right, take a drink, everyone. There is your Selmir Pedro reference for this episode. If you had 7:23 p.m. as the Pedro reference, give yourself a round of applause. But again, my thing with Wallem. So for one, I had heard that there was a lot of interest in him from other MLS clubs that liked what they saw from him in St. Louis, and there was some speculation that maybe he does get a DP salary, but it doesn't. We'll know probably for sure once this transfer becomes official, which, by the way, Jeremy, you had a theory as to why it hasn't been announced yet.
From what I understand, the transfer window is not officially open yet. The league has been terribly slow, frustratingly slow, and unexplainably slow in giving us key dates like they have in years past of telling us when the window is open, when it closes, when the roster compliance dates are, things of that nature. So I'm in years past, it's normally been between the last or second to last, between the 23rd and 31st of January. So we're not quite there. And even though I know we are seeing other clubs announce international signings, City has yet to do so. But that's kind of my thought. But real quickly, Tom and Jake, there was a message from Fetlord Fetlord Colton in the chat that I want to address because it's about Wallem. He said Wallem will probably play all over the place. And I really hope that is not the case because he needs to be put into a singular role or as close of a singular role as possible and have consistency.
Well, and that was going to be, kind of a follow-up point that I was going to lead into in that when the best that Wallem looked, in my opinion, this past season was when he was playing wing back towards the end of the season or fullback or right back because we were still playing a 4 in the back. When he was playing at right back last season for Thomas Totland, who was put into Critchley's doghouse for reasons that we will never, ever know or fully understand. But at Totland's expense, I thought Wallem looked comfortable playing out wide as a fullback. And it was I also kind of got the sense that he seemed like now that he had a defined role, he could actually settle in and play his game because again, he was someone as Colton pointed out, he's kind of a Swiss Army knife. He can play all over. He can play as an attacking winger. He can play centrally in theory. He can play as a left back or as a left wing back or vice versa. But the problem with players like that is that like we've seen that with again. This is apparently the Indiana Vasilev show because I have to reference him again. How many positions did Vasilev play when he was in St. Louis? And he always, to me, just seemed like a jack of all trades, master of none, type of guy when he was here. And I wonder, Jake, if that was a byproduct of him just being moved around often. And that's kind of why I don't want to see Wallem moved around like that. I want him to have a defined role.
For sure. And the practice aspect of it, like focusing on one thing at practice and just going that direction would help a lot.
Yep, Drew Young in the chat remembers Wallem saying himself he was settling into his role as a right back, and we'll see ultimately where he ends up. At this point, I would say left wing back. Of course, Byron Tim pointing out that left back David Schnegg has been waived by DC United. He is someone that I think would fit a really nicely into our system if St. Louis were to get him. But as of this recording, the waiver process has not finished itself. But I would think, Jeremy, that we would probably have a pretty good odds at claiming him if that's the case. If it's based on last season's record, we should be pretty high in the order, right?
I don't know exactly where we are. There may be some other clubs that have needs, and I hate to say it, but Sporting KC is going to be higher than us, I think, because they were below us in the table. So, I mean, and we know they have more roster spots, and hell, they're even bringing in Jay Reed, which, I mean, I'm not taking a shot at Jay.
No.
But they're bringing in Jay Reed, I mean, they're bringing in a lot of guys, but I mean, I'm hopeful, but I believe he hit waivers yesterday, and it's a 48-hour waiver claim process. So we might hear something in the next few days. And if he clears waivers completely, then it's just open season like free agency.
Well, and that'll be our way of emulating flyover footy and ball watching, because all the news broke after their episodes on Thursday. So we can't have all the glory here on Red Smoke Rising. But we'll see how that works out. And of course, I only chuckled at Jay Reed just because we were in case of emergency break glass situation with Jay Reed ourselves, a couple of years ago. So it's just, time is a flat circle. It really is. Micah in the chat asking, if we were to get a DP and it's not Wallem, what position would you guys like to see take that spot? And I think that's going to lead a little bit into some thoughts that Corey Ray has on the transfer market. But we do have a DP slot that we could in theory use, because we haven't declared if we're going to be on the 3 model or if we're going to do the 2 and 4 model like we did last year. So in theory, we could bring in a DP. Jeremy, what would you use a DP slot on? Because I'm honestly kind of torn.
Well, that's a hard one. I feel like at this point, the hard part is, I feel like we all have a fondness for Sangbin, right? We liked what we saw from him last season. We know we are committed as a club to not blocking the path of Joyner on the opposite side of the pitch. Mm-hmm. Klaus is kind of the hot and cold, people love him, people hate him kind of guy. I think you've got to go an attacker, whether it's a wide 10 or another 9. I think that's where you've got to spend. I just don't see them locking up a midfielder, and I hope they wouldn't use it on a wing back.
I'm kind of with you on that. Jake, DP slot, who are you spending it on?
Center back. No. I'm going the wide attacker as well.
Yeah, I'm in the same mindset. Like, of course, right center back is kind of a glaring need right now, and we'll get into our projected lineups in just a little bit. But DP center back would not be a very efficient use of money. Just I don't think even Walker Zimmerman's getting a DP contract anymore. He signed this offseason. Wing back as a DP would be very extravagant. I mean, not even Jordi Alba was a DP.
Wow. His second contract was.
Yeah.
Oh, it was. Okay.
Yeah.
I stand corrected on that. Not sure if that was the best move. I mean, but that's just me. Yeah, I mean, we have Edouard Leuven, and we want to give him grace, with his situation. So, I hate to. I would still say a wide attacker as well. I know I would not have gone after Schaffelberg from Nashville, because he seems redundant with Songbin, and also I think what he's getting in LAFC is a bit pricey. I don't think he's a DP guy, or I don't think he's a Max Tam guy either. He's a very good player, but I don't think he's basically at a kind of like at a Conrad Wallem level to me. But I think he wanted more money than that. I'm also reluctant to say a left winger explicitly, just because I don't want to block Mekhi Joyner. He still has to fight with Celio Pompeu for minutes too. Who knows what happens with Celio this year? So I mean, but that would be kind of my answer. Is I guess for lack of a default. I mean, like you're not replacing Klaus yet at striker. I wouldn't say Josh Sargent is that answer. We'll talk about Sargent in the final third, by the way, on the YouTube and X stream. But yeah, that's a good question. But Corey Ray had some. First of all, before we get to Corey Ray, I do want to just point out real quick one other transfer business. Christian Olivares, our third goalkeeper since time immemorial, has been loaned to the new USL Championship club Sporting Jacksonville for this coming season. And in response, Colin Welsh, who I thought played very admirably for City 2 this past season, has been re-signed, and he will be effectively the third keeper, though he's not on the supplemental roster like Olivares was. Somewhere Loose Finance Shield's going, you can do that? But yeah, apparently you can. So Jake, obviously this is a move to get Olivares some playing time, right?
At a higher level, yeah. Because he was getting a lot of City 2 minutes, but the difference between USL Championship and City 2 is absolutely insane. And I do love the move from that standpoint because, one, he reunites with former teammate Dita Armstrong down there.
Yep.
And two, it does open up that supplemental roster slot.
Yes, and that is so key as we've come to learn over the years. Those roster slots, when those injuries pile up, really start being precious. But that is the transfer activity that we know of at this point. And Jeremy, Corey had some things to say about his transfer philosophy.
He did. Real quick though, I do want to ask Jake one other pointed question, Tom.
Mm-hmm.
So Olivares is on loan. We know we have Berkey and Lunt. Colin Welsh is likely going to be the guy at City 2. We drafted Samuels in the super draft.
Yes.
Who becomes the odd man out? Or is it too early to say when we talk about the succession plan for Roman Berkey?
Well, I think Samuels, I have every impression that Samuels could be the heir apparent to Berkey. The good thing about 2026, though, is that Samuels is going back to college. Right. So he is not going to be in the reckoning for City 2 this year, so you don't have to worry about him getting minutes this season. But you look at Berkey's contract, which it was 2 years and an option with him, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so 2 years and an option. So you're thinking maybe at the end of that second year, before that option kicks in, you're looking at Samuel's progression and you're trying to make a determination, okay, is it time for him now? Or do we need to use an extra year on Berkey? Because I love me some Ben Lunt. I think he performed very admirably. I just don't think as a regular MLS starter, he's the guy. I think he is a fan. I think he's proved himself as a great backup. But if he was my starting goalkeeper in MLS, I'd be a little worried. Welsh, now goalkeeping in soccer is a little bit like hockey in that goalkeeping can be a little bit of voodoo. So if Welsh impresses, maybe it becomes an interesting question at the end of 2027 whether what Welsh's role is and what Samuel's role is. Time will tell. We can't really predict that at this point. But Jake, I don't see how this isn't being set up for Samuels to be the guy eventually.
Yeah, I think 2028 is actually going to be that year because Lunt and Berkey all have guaranteed contracts through 2027. So I think Samuels will be the guy after that. The one thing that interests me about Walsh is he is signed through 2026. I don't believe he has an option. So I think he automatically is the odd man out.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, he is, he's someone that I believe he's 24.
somewhere around there.
Yeah, because he was an older senior graduate when we drafted him out of Western Michigan. So maybe you don't look him as the heir apparent per se, but again, he's going to get every chance this year at City 2 because he's going to be the guy at City 2. I would assume that maybe McPartland might be his backup because he's the one academy goalie that is in training camp. We'll get to that a little bit later on. But so where are all the transfers? Why? Where's the kaboom? Where is the big earth-shattering kaboom, Jeremy? Well, Corey Ray had some things to say.
He did. He told the Post-Dispatch that he isn't in a hurry, to put it short and sweet. He said, quote, "I'd love to have people in the door the first day, but I'm also not worried or panicked that if they're here a couple of days after that it's a big problem. The most important thing is to get the right players. It's really about long-term goals of the organization and club. So we're not going to try to rush something just to have someone here on day 1 or 2 at this point, if it's not needed." He went on to tell the Post-Dispatch, quote, "I'm not resting with the idea that these are the only players that we're going to have. I'm hopeful we'll be able to announce some new additions soon. But the summer window certainly is a lot easier for me to envision how we can set up a large process. That will be a different kind of way of acquiring players, probably a bit easier to envision more international transfers by then." So Tom, Corey Ray and company in the front office, they are playing the long game, it sounds like.
It really does. In fact, if you take a look at the preseason roster, which we're going to put up for you on the stream, you're getting you see some familiar faces on there, but you also feel like, the Cleveland Indians fans, before the season in Major League, where they can't recognize a lot of these guys, but that means there's a lot of opportunity here. So just looking at this roster, I'm looking at someone, hey, we haven't talked about Brendan McSorley, as someone that is going to be an attacking option. He is someone that I feel has earned, at least a bench role on the main roster. I am a McSorley believer, just as I was a Jose Kojima believer. And I saw those comments in the chat earlier about my boy Kojima. Hopefully he's doing okay in DC. But there's a lot of new names that are on this roster that people may not be familiar with, or you might be looking at and thinking, okay, is it time to step up? Players, I'm looking at Thomas Ostrak as someone that, okay, we need to see if this is going to be someone that can be an asset for us later on, someone that can take that next step forward that I feel that he just hasn't taken. I'm looking at someone like, for instance, Tyson Pierce. Tyson Pierce is someone that he played a lot of City 2 last year. He's a homegrown. He's got some hype behind him, and he has lived up to a little bit of that hype because he's been called up to the U.S. Youth National Team set up a few times now. I thought, and Jake, back me up on this, I thought Tyson Pierce took some big steps forward last year for City 2.
He's been taking a lot of steps forward the last 2 years, actually.
Yeah.
Since he really made that conversion from a defensive midfielder to more of that left back or right back role.
Yeah, and he's been playing right back, but he also can play center mid as well too. So we're talking about that poor center midfield depth that we have right now. We talked about Miguel Perez maybe making that jump up. That's someone that can make that jump up. Cooper Forcellini, who we drafted in the second round, we traded for the pick to get him. I know there are club officials that are very high on him as well. There's a lot of names on here, Jeremy, that I just feel could, with a good preseason camp, maybe take a step forward. Who are you eyeing?
Well, I mean, yeah, Tom, you've laid out a few good options. I do think, and Fetlord, Colton beat me to it, one of the guys could be that Trilus Lucas McNaughton. He is a former DC United player. Most recently, has also spent time with Nashville and Toronto. He's a trialist for this camp. I know a lot of folks, myself included in this, are really hoping to see Henry Kessler re-signed, but if Kessler isn't re-signed, it could be a McNaughton-Lillington rotation for that third center back slot. So that's really where my focus is right now. I feel like, to be honest, our attacking third is probably pretty much set. The midfield, other than sorting depth and hopefully getting one more at least option in the middle of the park, is probably good. So that center line, that back three, if that's what we're going to play potentially, that's where my focus is. And I love Falou Fall. I like Timo Baumgartel. I think, and if you haven't, go listen to Flyover Footy. Matt Baker had a fantastic interview with Timo today. So check that out because he talks about his adjusting to MLS. It's really good stuff. But my point there is you're telling me the depth we have now is Hebert, Yarrow, Orozco. And so I just have a little bit of apprehension about that. So that's why that's my place to watch for the preseason.
So who the heck is Lucas McNaughton? Well, let's go ahead and try to answer that for you here. So Lucas McNaughton, he is a 30-year-old center back. So he's been around the block a little bit. He's a veteran, kind of more of a depth guy in his career for Toronto, Nashville, and DC. He did play 718 minutes last season on a very bad DC United team. And Jeremy, one of the biggest glaring throbbing red flags with McNaughton is the fact, and again, we're talking about St. Louis City here, so this worries me, he's got an injury rap.
That's sort of putting it lightly, Tom. 2025, he spent a large part of that season out. He missed 20 games last year after suffering a thigh injury mid-season. The year prior to that, before his trade to DC when he was in Nashville, he had to have surgery. He suffered a leg injury in April of 2024. He ended up missing 37 total games in Nashville when he was a part of Nashville SC. So he at 30 years old, we've already been bit by Joachim Nilsson. McNaughton has a lot of potential. He's a ball-winning center back, but I'm really apprehensive about giving a guy with that kind of injury history, being how much we've been bitten by it, a chance. Jake, what do you think?
I was going to say, we were here this time a little while ago with Alfredo Morales, weren't we?
And Lucas Bartlett as well.
Yeah. Well, trialist, but then also Morales had a rap for having trouble staying on the field.
Did he?
Yeah.
It's been a long year.
Yeah, he had well, yes. I mean, 2025 was a very long year for St. Louis City fans, but maybe we look at someone like an Alfredo Morales who played valiantly for City. Was he a perfect midfielder? No. Was he past his prime? Yes. And did he have issues staying on the field at times? Yes. But he was 35 years old with a lot of tread lost on his tires per se. So that's to be expected. You can't really make an apples to apples comparison with Morales and McNaughton. But it's one of those things where time would tell if we do bring him in, which is, you wonder why we're bringing in someone like McNaughton. Is it just for depth or is it a contingency? Because you're thinking either you're moving a center back out or maybe you're thinking that Kessler is not coming back, Jeremy.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, though. So if Kess isn't coming back, let's just hypothetically put that out into the universe, because I think that's where a lot of people's mindsets are right now, given how quiet it's been on that front. We haven't heard anything from the club officially. At the last report from the club was that they were still negotiating, and sources have said that he was exploring his opportunities and options in Europe, but that St. Louis remained high on his list of teams if he were to return, that we would be the pick. But bringing in an oft-injured 30-year-old center back is risky. So, again, I pose the idea of, is it a McNaughton and Lillington battle? Because Lillington came highly rated. I think he was the top-rated right center back available in the super draft. So, I mean, a lot of eyes are on him, and there is some speculation from some camps that he could actually outright win the right center back job out of camp if all goes well.
Well, and also if you look at our center back depth right now, you might look at Lillington and compare him to Josh Yarrow, Kyle Hebert, and if we're going to be playing a 3 in the back this year, Lillington might be the best guy almost by default at this point, which is kind of crazy to say about a super draft pick. Speaking of super draft, real quick, Palmer Alt is also trialing with St. Louis City. 21-year-old center forward, played at Indiana University this past year. Good Indiana University team, although not good enough to beat SLU in the tournament. But he got 16 goals in 19 games this past season, which on paper would make you think, wow, he can score. You know who else scored a lot of goals before we drafted him? Emil Jääskeläinen. And Emil Jääskeläinen is no longer with the club. So I would just caution yourself a little bit. Don't get too excited about that, because college and MLS doesn't fully translate oftentimes. I mean, sometimes you get a Duncan McGuire, sometimes you get an Owen O'Malley. You just never know. But why are we able to get a young forward like this off the street? Because he was a draft pick by Colorado Rapids 2 years ago. He was picked in the second round, but he never signed with them. And his draft rights, as Matt Baker explained, expired on New Year's Day. So he was free to sign with anyone. And so St. Louis is taking a look at him. And Jake, I'm thinking here, if this is a City 2 depth move, potentially, because you have Mekhi Joyner coming up to the main roster, you have Brendan McSorley coming up to the main roster, and you have Emil Jääskeläinen playing somewhere else this season. So what is our attacking depth looking like at City 2?
Yeah, it's kind of obsolete right now. It's just not there. And part of that is just not having, not having the rosters announced, and really the only contracted player for City 2 is actually Colin Welsh. But I think it's going to be interesting to see Lorenzo Cornelius bringing in that. He'll be definite offensive power off the City 2 roster. And then a guy like Stone Marion, could he come up and be that central attacking midfielder?
Oh, definitely. It's going to be interesting to see. Like, I'm excited about Lorenzo Cornelius. I think he is someone that can break out. You're going to have more time for some of these younger players that we've been seeing mentioned in prospect lists, like Kane Krause, also Eddie Niles. Get to know that name, Eddie Niles. Yeah. He's going to be something special, but he's a midfielder. Krause is a forward, so we'll see. I mean, City 2, I know City 2 is, they've been very good the past couple of years with, more veteran players. We're going to see some new faces getting a chance, and I think, honestly, Jake, this might be the most interesting period of City 2 coming up, just in terms of seeing what our academy has actually produced at this point.
It's going to be really interesting, and I'm kind of nervous just looking at the academy results, which isn't like an indicator or anything, but the U18, U19, whatever, they've struggled lately. But, it's not a way to judge them, of course, because they're children.
Literally.
Literally, yeah.
No, and I'm sure we'll find out more. We haven't heard all the full City 2 roster yet, have we, Jake?
No, we only know Colin Welsh.
Okay, so we'll learn more about that, but we do know what the first team roster looks like. I know we just talked about the preseason roster, and it's key to point out not everyone on that roster is under contract. So this is actually, as of today, who is under contract and what City has in terms of openings and roster flexibility. We did include Conrad Wallem. It's not officially announced by the club, but we're including Conrad for the sake of conversation and assuming that is a done deal based on all indications we've heard from reporting abroad. So with that, this is where the roster breakdown is. We have 2 senior roster spots. Tom mentioned it earlier, almost off the top of the show, that we do have either the way those can be used. We have room for either one designated player or one U22 slot. And then we have the 3 supplemental roster openings still open as well. So that's the current state of the roster. Something to mention, JGR, his loan is now through June. He was not recalled by the January 1st deadline, so he will remain down in Australia in the A-League. So he will continue to occupy that slot as a U22 unless City 2 buys out and buys that down. And then we have Christian Olivares noted as an unavailable. They're both still technically under contract, but unavailable due to loans. A couple other call-outs. It's not on this graphic just for sake of space. There is the possibility that we see additional loans down to City 2, a Caden Glover maybe. In years past, it's been Tyson Pierce. There's also slot 31, which I believe last year was used on Miggy
Correct.
to take him down to City 2 for the season and open up a supplemental spot for us as well. So it's still a very, very fluid situation with the roster. There's still a few things Corey Ray can do, and I don't think he's done. But guys, what do you make of the roster as it stands today?
Meh. Like there is, there's a lot that, again, I think I don't fully lean into the naysayers that are upset that we're bringing back the same players and it's the same roster as before. The players that we're bringing back, you're talking about like a Marcel Hartle. You want him on your roster. Joao Klaus, you want him on your roster. Edu Leuven, assuming, everything's going okay, you want him on your roster. But I don't mind them coming back just because you need some quality on this roster. I mean, look, we're going to be going through a period of transition, and I think this is actually, I think it's setting up, and Jake, let me know what you think on this. It's setting up to where, for the first time, I think since City started, except maybe at the preseason of 2023, where I think we can set our expectations pretty low. Because remember last year, this time last year, Carroll and Kindle were making the playoffs, hands down. We did make the playoffs, hands down. And I don't see that boldness coming out of the camp this year for St. Louis City. Like there's optimism. They're doing the STL Rising campaign, which I appreciate them thinking of us poor podcasters, Red Smoke Rising, by letting us share a hashtag with them. Thank you very much for the free advertising. But this is gonna be a development year. This is gonna be a transition year, and I think, Jake, we just gotta be patient.
Yeah. I hate sounding like John Mozeliak, but we got to have patience.
Ooh, John Mozeliak.
Trust the process, boys. That's what we have to do. We have to trust the process. We have to hope that this aligned and collaborative environment will yield results. It's going to be I've said this from the start. It's going to be a multi-window process. The roster, the mismanaged roster that was inherited by Corey Ray, is being tweaked. It's just a slow and painful process. And Yohan DeMay even said this week, we came in late in the process, right? So he's not saying verbatim, give us time, but it's kind of the unofficial way of me saying, hey, we need time. I need to assess this roster. Corey's even said he's giving DeMay time to do his assessment. So, I think that it's a key time because it's going to shape what we start to look like in the long term, going way back to Corey Ray's introductory press conference where he said, I'm going to take short-term decisions to suit the long-term picture.
Kayla in the chat, her disappointment is because all last year we were told 17 players are out of contract. We're going to rebuild basically the whole roster. Thank you, John Hackworth, for not making us rebuild the whole roster, because we still have, the Josh Yaros of the world on our roster. We still have, I was someone that I thought we could have cut bait on Chris Durkin, honestly, when his option was up. A lot of names that you might have wanted to see go elsewhere have come back, so I get that disappointment. I do understand that, but it's not the end of the world, but it is kind of annoying that Hack left us some presents. Matt asking, Tom, I'm okay if transition is a playoff spot. Thoughts? Well, not my thoughts, Jeremy. Roman Berkey has some thoughts about playoffs. And yes. I think they were a little misunderstood.
So Roman was caught in a moment of at the media scrum talking about the quality of the roster, and one of the things he said was that he has no doubts about the quality of the team. He didn't have doubts last year. He still doesn't have doubts. He thinks they are good enough to make the playoffs. I know that comments caused a little bit of a stir on social media because of the way that he worded his last sentence where he said we're not good enough, but case where maybe English isn't a second language kind of situation. Maybe, I don't know. But I'm giving him grace and trusting that he feels the team has quality. But guys, he didn't stop there. He did say we need to make additions.
He did, and he's a captain, he's a leader, and his voice carries a lot of weight. And I think he was using that voice, to point out that we do need more quality out there. You like hearing that from your team captain than your head coach, Olaf Melberg, talking about the quality of the roster, all during his tenure here. But regarding the thing about Berkey saying no playoffs, look. For first things first, English is not Roman Berkey's first language. Hell, it's barely my first language. I think I called Jake Jeremy at one point this episode already. I mean, it just you make slips like that. It happens. He wouldn't throw his team under the bus like that. I don't think. He's a captain. He's got a quiet demeanor. He's not a renegade. He's not Mario Balotelli out there, with a shirt "Why always me?" under his goalkeeper kit. I mean, that is just not his style. In fact, why would he throw his team under the bus when he just got a big DP contract? When he probably got a bigger contract to play in St. Louis than anywhere else in MLS right now, and maybe even arguably Europe at this point. It seems incredibly counterproductive, and it does not sound like a very Berkey thing to do, to throw his team under the bus like that. So I'm willing to say that his whole thing about the no playoffs was a simple slip of the tongue. It just does not seem like a Berkey thing to do, but to your point, Jeremy, maybe putting, using his voice to put a little pressure on additions. That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, he made it sound, and I don't have the verbatim quote in front of me, but basically he said that he I think he was trying to also say in that he trusts the front office, because he basically said it's too soon to judge. He said, you can't judge. He goes, if I promise someone I'm going to do something over a period of time, I have to wait until the end of the period to make that assessment. And he went on to then say, basically, they said we would get 1 to 2 new players. If things work out and we do it, they've held their promise. So it sounds like, Berkey's willing to continue to trust the vision that after all, guys convinced him to stay here for, at least 2 more seasons.
Well, and not only that, but Berkey also spoke a little bit about the style of play that St. Louis will be employing here. And I think we have that graphic for you there. There you go. Talking about how Berkey, quote, he has a plan on how he wants to play, he being Yoann Demey. I think there are some things that will be new to some of the players, but I'm pretty sure he has a great way to communicate and make it very clear how to play, end quote. I think Marcel Hartl as well. I think his quote has a little more context to it. He said, quote, first, he showed us how he wants to play with the ball and how he wants to defend against the ball in different structures. We want to be flexible depending on how the opponent is playing. Now we have to get it on the pitch. Now we have to see what style of play works and which ideas we can use, end quote. Thank you to Utes Media for supplying us those quotes. To me, Jeremy, it kind of goes into a little bit of what is the May ball going to actually look like. And it kind of sounds to me, just based on Hartl's quote there, that it's still kind of to be determined at this point, because I'm imagining Nancy ball, where it's possession based, but then also it's been said that we still want to have that high energy St. Louis soccer. So how do you reconcile Nancy ball and energy drink soccer, Jeremy, or can you?
Well, I'm going to say mum's the word from DeMay. I mean, all he has said on the record is that there's a clear plan of what they want to do, and then said basically that they're going to have a lot of flexibility, saying that, quote, from structure comes freedom, and that they need a structure to start the preseason, but nothing is set in stone. It's going to depend on the profile of the players, but he wants them to be flexible, end quote. And that's why I think we've drawn up a few different options that you see if you're watching on the stream for what our projected lineups could be if the season were to start today. There are some stalwarts, some mainstays in that: the Hartl, the Klauses, Sang Bin, Falou Fall, Baumgartel. But guys, it sounds like we could see a variation of a 4-2-3-1 at times, maybe a 4-3-3. We've got a 3-4-2-1 on the screen as well. So it's going to be fluid and dynamic, as best I can guess at this point.
which again was something that we thought we'd be getting under Olaf Milberg, and look what happened there. So I would just caution against expectation based on our history with our head coaches. But if you look at the 4-2-3-1, it's the usual cast of characters that you would expect to be in their spots. And honestly, when I look at that lineup, I'm not too repulsed by it. It looks. I mean, assuming everyone stays healthy, and of course, we're assuming Wallem is coming back as well. But then when you get into the 3-4-2-1, interesting things kind of happen, and including, you might have noticed Lillington as our projected starting right center back again. Who else at this point? I mean, I mean, Kyle Hiebert's not practicing. So I can't even say, I mean, he would probably be the next man up if he was healthy, but he's not practicing at the moment. I'm not going to put Josh Yarrow there. I'm not going to put Yazio Orozco there. So it really is, I mean, it's not just wishful thinking. It's kind of default, but and Aaron thinking that a 4-2-3-1 fits our roster a little bit better. I do agree with that, but we'll see how that goes. But Jake, when you look at these projected lineups, are you optimistic or are you pessimistic?
Depends on which lineup I'm really looking at. I mean, I can't disagree that the 4-2-3-1 fits better, or looks like on paper fits us better. I really like that kind of style. My only thing with that 4-2-3-1 is Wallem. Just, is that a fit for him as a left back as opposed to a wing back, or is there even really that much of a difference?
Jake, I think that's going to be key, because we've seen in our systems so far the wing backs pressing forward, the wide backs are part of that attack, and they overlap with our wide players, and so that's often left our center backs on islands too often. So to your point, that's my concern, is what is that going to look like? That's what, like, if it's me, I favor the 3-back because it gives coverage for Baumgartel. I know he's still adjusting to the league. He said as much on Flyover today, but I want stability in front of Berkey. I want some athleticism in that back line. Maybe that's where Lillington come in alongside Felu Fall. But we saw Fall last year was uber aggressive. But to your point, Jake, I don't like a 4-back if we're going to continue to rely on putting our center backs on islands. I guess, Tom, the saving grace could be something that we've talked about for years. If we continue to run a 4-2-3-1 and our wing backs or left back, right back push forward in the attack, if Edelman is that third body in the defense to stay in front of Felu and Baumgartel, or, defender to be named, does that make us feel better?
I mean, it would, just because I would know that he's not going to make bombing runs like Chris Durkin does, when he just gets a, wild hair up, as you know what? That's what it looks like to me when he just goes off and randomly runs off. That's kind of why I was thinking about Chris Durkin as well, too. Like, if Edelman's going to be the guy, what of Chris Durkin? Because, I don't think you necessarily want Durkin starting next to Edelman, in a center midfield pairing. JT is suggesting center back Durkin. Chris Gebhardt, who is our friendly ghost behind the scenes, popping those comments up for us as well and making sure we stay on track. He shared a video reminding me of a incident where Chris Durkin, having to defend in the box, ends up getting a Dogzo red card because he's just way out of position and reckless. If it's a 3 in the back, I'm not as worried about Durkin playing center back. If it is a 2 in the back, 2 center back system, God help us. I would almost rather, based on Durkin's style, I want to see what he does at right back, honestly, because, if you're talking about someone that likes to run up and down the field, that's what you want out of your right back. Is Durkin a great passer? No, but again, if you're talking just about that energy and playing box to box, and in someone that has a problem with positioning, I would rather see Durkin at right back than center back.
And Tom, I agree. I was thinking just now, looking at this, we don't have it mocked up, but a 4-1-4-1 where you can put Leuven further up the field, because my brain, when you mentioned Wallem on the right, I go back to the Vancouver game. If I recall, in that game, there was a cross whipped into the box that Leuven ran onto and headed emphatically in to the goal. So I just think about options. I think there's still too many questions to nail down a hard formation, but I think the conversation is interesting to have as we talked about the evolution of the squad, which is going to continue. What's also going to continue, though, guys, is the preseason, and that's where we're going to get to see what Demay's vision is. And, I think, Jake, you've got some graphics and some things to talk through as we get the preseason really beginning in earnest with training this week.
Yeah, so as the graphic says, the players have reported, I believe, 2 days ago, 2 or 3. And then training started yesterday. And that will run through the 18th here in St. Louis before they travel to Bradenton, Florida, and will play a couple friendlies down at IMG Academy against the New York Red Bulls and the Tampa Bay Rowdies. And those will not be streamed.
Nope, and they're not available to the public. If you're thinking of going to Florida, you will not be let in.
Correct. And I think the Rowdies game is going to be really interesting.
Yes,
with a lot of familiar faces, as with what was it, Max Schneider, I believe, is on the Rowdies now.
Oh, Tampa Bay Rowdies went full Union Omaha with their roster over this year, and that includes our old buddy Max Schneider.
Yeah, and then on January 29th, they will return here back to the Lou, where they will immediately go right back to Palm Springs and hit the road for another Coachella Valley Invitational. I believe this is the 3rd or 4th one.
They've been there every year since they started.
Yeah, and those two are open to the public, will be streamed. And then we have the last game against Tom's old friend, Jose Kojima.
My boy.
Which is on Valentine's Day, actually. So, that is also will not be streamed and is a closed-door friendly.
Well, and remember, with closed-door friendlies, those can be the Grim Reaper, because remember, Rasmus Alm got injured in a closed-door friendly last year, and that was kind of all she wrote for his time in St. Louis. So, again, the games that we can watch, which it sounds like it's just going to be the Coachella games, I'm going to be glued to those just to see how we look and where the pieces fit, for lack of a better term. And I don't know, Jeremy, maybe me and you should do some watch-alongs for those.
If we're able to do it, I think those are weekdays. I haven't looked at a calendar, but
One's a Saturday. The Austin games is a Saturday, I think. Yeah.
Okay. So if you know what, I would 100% be down to do a watch along and talk some city footy in a meaningful way. I mean, that's going to be, towards the end of it. Demay did say on Monday, he pointed out, he's like, look, I have 28, now it's 26 training sessions to get my vision into real action before the first game of the season on the 21st of February against Charlotte at Energizer Park. So by that point, you'd expect some things to be well in motion, right?
Yeah, you would definitely think so. And, Yohan Demay was even talking about the approach of the preseason. He thinks that every team needs to improve in every area, not just St. Louis. Wanted to start with an open mind. Didn't want to come in today with a mindset on what the players are. Are they good or are they not? Are they fit or are they not? I wanted to actually see them in training. Preseason is going to be amazing. It's going to be a good discovery and integration process, which to me sounds like it's also going to be a preseason of opportunity. Because now you're going to have players that want to impress the coach, and there's going to be opportunities to do that. So I kind of appreciate Demay taking kind of an open-minded approach, not coming in with any sort of preconceived notions of who does what.
Well,
go ahead.
Competition breeds improvement, right? You would hope. Like that's the environment you need Berkey talked about needing some players that have a little bit of difference in terms of character, maybe quality and character mentality wise. You bring a few of those guys in, throw them into an environment where people are hungry and fighting to prove themselves. I know I've said it's a multi-window process, but this team might be capable of maybe being a little bit better than they look on paper right now.
It's always possible. MLS is a league of parity, and you can see some interesting movements up and down the final standings. But that is going to do it for the podcast portion of our show, Red Smoke Rising. If you are listening to us on your favorite podcast provider, make sure you're subscribed to us. Make sure you're getting all of our new episodes. And if you're on Apple, leave us a comment, and let us know how we're doing. And feel free to, give us a 5 stars if you enjoyed our show. I think Spotify has a similar rating system. But anyways, we do appreciate your support as well. Also, just a reminder that thank you to our YouTube viewers as well. We're going to stick around for the final third portion of our show. And again, if you are subscribed to the Soccer Zombie YouTube, thank you so much. But this will be the second to last episode on that channel. Over 100 people watching right now. And I want to thank every single one of you. And of course, many more of you out there in audio land listening to us down the road. So I'm your Soccer Zombie, Tom Franklin.
I'm your OG rat, Jeremy Clements.
And I'm Pedro Stan Jake Henry.
Thanks for listening to Red Smoke Rising. And remember, watch your load management and always keep moving forward. All right. And welcome to the final third. And this is the part where we kind of lower our shoulders, get a stretch in, take off your hat and, kind of give your neck a roll a little bit, because we just went an hour and 10 minutes talking about the future of our club. So before we get into the final third, first things first, if you're in the chat, this is where we include you more into the conversation. So Chris Gebhardt is keeping an eye on the chat, and he will pop up comments as they come along here. I want to address a couple things first. First things first, there's 103 of you watching right now. One thing that we have noticed since we started Red Smoke Rising is our viewer count as the show goes on goes up. So there's a lot of you that are joining as the show goes on, which makes me wonder, are we starting the show too early for some of you guys? Is 7 o'clock too early for you guys? Now, we don't want to do like other podcasts where we start at 9 o'clock on a weeknight, because that's a choice. Sorry, Jeremy. I know you weren't involved in that, but I am wondering if we should push back the start time of our show a little bit. Like, we were kind of kicking around 7:30, maybe 8 o'clock. Would that help you guys at all? Let us know in the chat, because this is America, and we are still a democracy, at least for now. Other thing too is kind of a personal note, but it leads into another discussion as it pertains to this show. I am shutting down my Soccer Zombie Discord on Thursday. I just a couple reasons for it. Number one, I've just been too busy to really kind of keep on top of it. And the other reason too is that I feel people have kind of moved on a little bit. It was a really good life raft when social media started getting toxic, and it was a breath of fresh air for me as well as for a lot of people as well. But just to let you know, I'm shutting down the Soccer Zombie Discord on Thursday. I do want to ask, would you like to see a Red Smoke Rising Discord server?
Honestly, sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Jake.
What I would do, I'd just rebrand it, like take the Soccer Zombie and move it to actually just being a Red Smoke Rising.
That would be a lot simpler.
Yeah, probably.
That would be a lot simpler, because I have a lot of emojis on there that I would have to delete and remove. So if nothing else, because I'm lazy, maybe I do that.
Maybe I do that. I mean, I also do want to thank our friends in No Goal Patrol. We do
Yes.
graciously have a channel in there, actually a few different channels in the section
Yes,
for Red
but
Smoke Rising.
they don't let anyone in No Goal Patrol. Like, you have
That's
to be a
true.
member,
Yeah.
you have to have an invite. And as I learned this week, they don't just give invites out to everyone. So, but we do have a section in No Goal Patrol. Kyle Van Clee, he's the one that created my Soccer Zombie logo, for God's sakes. Which, by the way, another personal thing. I'm sorry, I'm having a narcissistic moment here, but
It's okay.
I have an envelope in my hands. And inside this envelope is, if I can get it out, Soccer Zombie stickers.
Oh.
So Soccer Zombie stickers are back. I am going to be at the AGM for the St. Louligans this Saturday. I'm going to have these with me. If you want one, just let me know. And I'll have them for the home opener and just, wherever you see me. But I have a local dealer now for these that can make them pretty much whenever. So if you want a sticker, let me know. But yeah, let me know about, let us know about a later start time. Byron Tim is saying a later time would be good for us parents out here. 8 or 8:30 would be great. I can see that. Aaron, on the other hand, he travels to the East Coast a lot and doesn't want a show too late, but that's kind of situational. But yeah, let me know on the start time and let me know if you'd be interested in the Red Smoke Rising Discord, whether I rebrand it or not. So just a little bit of housekeeping to get us into the final third. And of course, if you have anything... If you have anything that you want us to discuss in the final third, just drop a comment. Aaron Ed thinks that your idea, Jake, of just changing the Soccer Zombie into Red Smoke Rising might be a good. So we'll see. But one topic I wanted to discuss, and I didn't do that. We didn't do this during the show just because it doesn't directly pertain to St. Louis yet, even though it's about a St. Louis boy by the name of Josh Sargent. I'm gonna bring up Josh Sargent just to address it real quick. So, rumor came out by one Fabrizio Romano over the weekend, which means it was fed by an agent, that Toronto FC have submitted an $18 million bid for Josh Sargent, currently playing for Norwich, who is currently in a relegation battle in the Sky Bet Championship. Fabrizio says negotiations are underway. It was also noted that Sargent sat out an FA Cup game against Walsall by request over these reported transfer rumors. So this drew a rebuke from Norwich head coach Philippe Clement, who came out and said, "This is obviously not something we want, and it will have consequences." He didn't say it like that, but it's how it kind of came off to me. He'll probably get benched or like for a game or have to run extra laps, something like that. It's not going to be hellfire and brimstone or anything like that. But he went on to say that it's something we need to speak about inside the club, and the club has made it really clear to Josh and his agent that he will not be leaving during this transfer window. Period. End of story. St. Louis, you don't have to worry about losing out on Josh Sargent yet. But this leads to a couple different discussions here. Number one, what if Josh Sargent signs with another MLS club? Well, we have his discovery rights. We got his discovery rights as kind of a grandfathered thing when St. Louis came into the league, because they redid how they did all that. But then they gave us one player, and that player was Josh Sargent. If Toronto FC or anyone else in MLS would try to sign him, we would have the chance to get compensation for that, because MLS is a funny league like that. But Jeremy, I don't think we should get our hopes too high on getting any sort of financial windfall, because based on past dealings like with Marco Reus and Thomas Muller, we might be able to pay for Edelman with what we get, right?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had a chance to really dig into it, but I believe for Thomas Muller, who was the big one last year, I think Vancouver had to get his discovery rights from FC Cincinnati. They paid $400,000 for that. So yeah, to your point, it would cover almost the entire year of Edelman's salary. So is it as much as you would like? Probably not, but I mean that's the realistic bar you would set, I would hope. And maybe, here's the question for you, and Tom, Jake, both of you chime in. Does St. Louis think they can fight for something more because of that local tie? Does that even matter to anybody outside of Toronto? I mean, outside of St. Louis, I should say.
Jake, you had you had a theory about Josh Sargent and his prospects of coming to St. Louis. You don't think that over time we'll need him?
Yeah, I mean, like with the academy, why not build our own? Like I mean, Josh Sargent's one of our own. Let's not get that. Let's not get that confused. But he's not one of City's own.
No.
We haven't had that star come up through the academy all the way through City 2. I mean, it's too soon to tell, but Lorenzo Cornelius or Makai Joyner are the two that come to mind. Another one that comes to mind is Eddie Niles.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, I'm so excited for Eddie Niles, and he's only 15 years old, but Jake, he's played for City 2 already. He got in a couple cups of coffee with City 2, I believe.
If he has, it's been like off the bench and garbage time.
Yeah, I mean not much, but like it's obviously they highly regard him, and so does the whole prospect world too. So yeah, I think there's some exciting names that are coming forward, and not only that, but a couple things. Number one, he's expensive, and Toronto, as Felix in the chat pointed out, when will Toronto ever learn that high-value signings don't work for them? Apparently never. This one has Insigne kind of written all over it. And I say that again, Sargent's a St. Louis boy. He's probably the most skilled, best player that is from St. Louis at this point of his career. I mean, Tim Ream's days are behind him. But he does. Again, we were just talking about McNaughton and how we're worried about his injury history. We should be worried about Josh Sargent's injury history as well. He can't stay on the field, it seems like, and you want to plunk down $18 million for him. To me, the juice is not worth the squeeze. And then the other thing is, if he's looking at signing in Toronto, is it just because it's only Toronto that is making the offer? Or does he actually want to play in Toronto, and would he rather play in Toronto than St. Louis? Because not every homegrown player in any city necessarily relishes that chance to play at home. I look at someone like Paul Stastny from the Blues, for instance. Paul came home to St. Louis after he played in Colorado. He had his best years in Colorado, not St. Louis. And, there was kind of a feeling among the Blues community that, maybe he felt a little extra pressure to impress in front of his home crowd. And so, I mean, he was a good player for St. Louis. He wasn't great. Another example, recent example, Jensen Miller. Was drafted by Sporting KC and apparently just loves to make jabs at St. Louis whenever he can. And this was a guy that, is from Baldwin. So your mileage may vary. Maybe he wants to play in a bigger city. Or maybe Toronto's just backing up the Brinks truck for him, in terms of a contract. You never really know.
As far as Sargent goes, fellas, I think for me, if it's the Toronto thing, I think about what is Josh Sargent's ultimate goal right now with where it is in the calendar, with what's coming up in a few months. He wants to get a shot at the national team again for the World Cup. Mm-hmm. So where is he going to go in MLS that where he knows he's going to play? I mean, he probably walks into any team almost, right? But who's going to offer him the money? Who has the money to offer him? Where are they at geographically? And I say that because and I hate to say it, but everyone's going to say it. Royce said it about St. Louis. Everyone has said it about St. Louis. St. Louis is not an attractive place from a marketability standpoint. Toronto is near New York. If he's not going to go to New York, he is not going to go to LA. If Chicago doesn't want him, where's the periphery? And maybe Toronto falls with that. I don't know. But for me, St. Louis doesn't make sense. I know we love a good hometown story, guys, but Tom, you called out the injury history.
Mm-hmm.
I'm calling out the financial windfall because that's a lot of money, way more than we've seen this organization spend on a single player. And we still seem committed to the designated team versus a designated player mentality with the way we spend, even if we did get volume down from to a lesser fee. We seem to be very calculated with the way we spend. So I just don't think it makes sense. Also, with where this organization is, in terms of we are rebuilding. We aren't in the midst of a retool. We aren't a proven striker away from being an MLS Cup competitor. That makes us better, sure, but how many other holes will that form in our lineup? I don't think Sargent makes sense for St. Louis.
No, it doesn't. And again, it has to make sense for Sargent as well. Careers only last so long, so you want to maximize your time and into your best abilities. And maybe he just sees Toronto more as a better fit than St. Louis, which, I liken it to like trying to date someone that is already in a relationship. You can't really be disappointed if they weren't available in the first place. You smile, you wish them the best in their choices in life, and then you move on and go back into the transfer market because that is what's best for everyone involved. So one thing we didn't talk about during the show, Jeremy, we just got kind of cut on time here, is we have some new coaches.
We do. So City shored up its coaching staff. It happened last Friday. I think it was late in the afternoon. They announced the coaching staff and technical staff hires. We brought in David Salvary, Marcelo Sarvis. Those are the two assistant coaches joining Johan Demay. Both have worked with Demay in the past with LA Galaxy. Both have won in the past. A few things that excited me is David Savary. They've gone way back. They took the same path, and Demay said that he is someone who's on the tactical side, will bring a lot to the table, telling Utes Media in the media scrum, quote, they go way back. We started at the same time. He'll bring a lot to the table. He's a great mind of how he sees the game. So that was Johan Demay on one of his appointments. Marcelo Sarvis, he is a winner as well. His club, it was LD Alajuelense. I butchered that badly. LD Alajuelense in Costa Rica. They won the 2025 Liga de Primavera down in Costa Rica. Prior to that, he was a manager in the LA Galaxy system as well. So he's got an extensive relationship with Johan Demay. I don't want to bury the headline of David Critchley returning to City 2 as head coach. Some other things, and I'm going to butcher these names no matter what I say. Baggio Huzidic, he's back as an assistant coach for the first team as well, a player development coach as well. Alex Langer, got that one right.
Yay.
He's the goalkeeper coach, and he's back. And then Elvir Kalvzidic is back as a City 2 assistant coach. So Elvir and Baggio kind of trading places. Marcelo and David coming in. But guys, one thing I'm excited about, because we were talking a lot about transfers, and it ties back to Josh Sargent, even though he's not coming to town. We have a director of scouting. So if we go back to the previous kind of regime, right, Lutz was kind of the guy who was the scouting guy. He would scout. He was very much a one-man band. Corey Ray, in his era of collaboration, has brought in Colin Rooney to be the bring in the director of scouting. And guys, I know this may not excite a lot of people, but if you look at his career and where he's worked, he was a senior international scout for Everton in the Premier League. He, prior to that, was the head of European scouting for Toronto FC, which, by the way, that yielded results because that club won the 2017 MLS Cup, the Supporters Shield, and also 4 Canadian Cup championships. And then he was also involved as a technical scout in Turkey with Galatasaray. Oh, and by the way, fun little tidbit: he's a St. Louis guy.
Yay!
So we brought a St. Louis in home to help build our own club.
He's one of our own. But he actually does seem very interesting, in that, if he was the head of European scouting for Toronto FC, that means he worked with Corey Ray. Quite a bit. Senior international scout for Everton is very impressive. I mean, I look at Callan Rooney, and it's like, Lutz, when he came to St. Louis, he had, kind of a similar track record where, I mean, Lutz was mostly a scout before he, got some, director opportunities in Germany. I also think it's just very telling, especially with the Rooney signing, that the structure of this club has truly changed, because the tip of the spear was Lutz for the first few years. Everything funneled through him. Scouting. I mean, we didn't really have much of an analytics department under Lutz, and so I mean, really, it was a lot. I mean, a lot of moves and a lot of things that we did were Lutz. If it was more domestic players, that was more John Hackworth. Now we've really kind of spread things to where now we don't even have a technical director anymore. We now have a director of scouting, which is a new thing for us, and that's also very exciting. And also, I just want to point out, Jeremy, that I want to thank you for taking this segment so I didn't have to say Elvir and Baggio's names myself.
That's my bullet for the show. I'm out. No.
Yes.
Jake, did any of these names excite you? I think you were big on the Critchley train, right?
Actually, I'm gonna go with Colin Rooney.
Oh,
love that hire. Love that hire. And it's only no, it's not only because part of it's because I love saying Galatasaray.
Easier than Alajunes.
No, Galatasaray is up there with Borussia Mönchengladbach for me. So
okay,
that's fair.
Yeah,
that is totally fair.
But his resume is just it's really good.
Jeremy, I thought you would like him because his last name was Rooney.
You stole the joke I was going to make. That's literally what I was going to say. We finally signed a Rooney. Waza. Man. Oh no, it's not Waza. Wrong one. But no, I agree with you, Jake. Banger of a hire in my mind, because it's leaning on experience. It's trusting guys who have the experience, hopefully, to make the decisions with limited interference.
And not only that too, but like one thing to consider with St. Louis is, again, we've been in existence, effectively as a sporting department for 4 or 5 years. And so a lot's been made about, we're only scouting in certain areas. We're only getting Nordic players. We're only getting European players. We're not getting Central American, South American players. Well, one thing to consider is, again, we've only existed for a few years. And whereas we are competing against clubs that have been in the league for decades. And so these clubs have had established scouting networks for decades before St. Louis was even a concept. So we are going to be a little bit behind in the more hot, scouting areas like South America, for instance, because all these MLS clubs, like, it might be a situation where, maybe St. Louis has looked at someone from Brazil, let's just say. They found a young kid from Palmeiras that they really like. 17-year-old. This is just an example. I'm basing this off of no one. But they find someone. They really like him. They go to the agent, and the agent tells them, oh, yeah, we've already talked to LAFC, Chicago Fire, New York Red Bulls, Inter Miami already, and so he would rather play for one of those cities than St. Louis. So not only do you have the St. Louis is not attractive to the casual soccer player angle, but you also have, we just have not established ourselves yet in the scouting network too. So that's something, food for thought for those of you who wonder why we don't scout certain areas better than others. We just don't have the network yet. But you bring in a guy like Colin Rooney, who does have all this international experience, and that tells me that we're getting serious about that finally. And that's something to be excited about.
1000%, Tom. Scream it from the mountaintops, because that's I immediately went to thinking about countries we haven't gotten players from and networks you can set up through those connections and establishing those bases that you see. I mean, whether you play a EAFC or a Football Manager, scouting networks are a massive part of identifying talent. And when you've got guys now like Rooney, who's on board, I know you mentioned Insigne as a miss in Toronto. I'm going to counter that with Giovinco. That's a guy that Corey Ray was a part of bringing in. I would assume Rooney may have had a say in that as well. He told that story on the City Voice a month or so ago. But and some of his coaches. You've got experience from Costa Rican leagues. You've got experience from Belgium. That's where Savary was most recently, FC Dender in Belgium. So you've got, and then Rooney again is Galatasaray, as you so eloquently put it, Jake, in Turkey. You've got much wider net, it feels like, than what I feel like most thought Lutz was casting in Germany.
Well, and Drew makes a good point as well. Sarvis is Brazilian, so we do have some Brazilians on our roster in Klaus and Celio. So you talk about, the comfort aspect of, players that are on the roster. Again, we had all those, Germans that were in, so that's, that's something to also to kind of consider as well. Colton, I saw you in the chat. He's asking us, what players from MLS would you like to see us sign? And Chris just assumes, I don't know why he would assume this, but he assumes that I would want us to sign Jose Kojima. You're right. Anyway, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I want to see Kojima back. But if there was one signing from another MLS club that you can make, think realistic, so don't say Messi. Who would you like us to see bring in? Because this is a big on the spot question here. So you got 30 MLS clubs to think about here. Honestly, and of course I would love to see Kojima back, but like he wouldn't be my number one target. I'm really warming up to the idea of David Schnegg. He is someone that is just, I'm imagining Schnegg and Wallem as our wingback pairing, and I'm really liking the visual of that. And he's available, so that's kind of where I mean that if you had me make a response right now that wasn't Kojima, I would say Schnegg, partly because of need, partly because of quality. Jeremy, Jake, can you guys think of anyone?
I'm gonna look at the Miami roster. Realistic. Yannick Bright or Ian Frey.
Okay.
I like one of those two.
I like Yannick.
So there's a few guys that come to mind. If I think about for me, what do I really want City to have? I would have loved to have like a real threat, like somebody who is consistently good at creating chances, whether it's for themselves or for others. Because I don't feel like we have seen anyone do that consistently. We've seen flashes, but not consistently. So like, I think of granted, he just left MLS, so I'm going to say Ali Ahmed. He was one guy from Vancouver. Loved watching him play. Brian Gutierrez just left MLS. I was a big fan of Gutierrez. Jack McGlynn. I don't mind Jack McGlynn. I would take a Jack McGlynn.
Don't say Tristan Burl or Blackman.
I wasn't going to say Blackman.
He's not for sale.
I'm trying to think where like Carlos Gil. He was another one. He was in New England, I think, at one point. What about Lucho Acosta? Is he still in MLS? He was, I think, last season.
He's down in South America.
Yeah, he went to South America.
Too. God, everybody left that I'm looking at, that I'm thinking of. And Espinoza just signed, or no, Espinoza. Where did Espinoza go? Didn't he just sign too?
He went to Nashville.
Yes, yeah, Espinoza went to Nashville. He was a premier free agent, so Espinoza would have been the guy. I don't know. That's
gonna be a hydra there with Espinoza, Mukhtar, and Sturridge.
What about
Sturridge?
Was Manu Garcia a Philly player? No, I'm thinking of Manu somebody else. I'm thinking of their defender. But no. But anyway, there's a lot of good attacking options that I could probably just sit here and start naming.
You know what my dream would be, and again, I'm not asking for the player, but I have this fun vision. If Celio Pompeu got Denny Bouanga's moxie, he would be a heck of a player. I think we've seen, I've seen this from Celio. I think his confidence goes up and down. I've seen just some disappointing body language from him. I think he's someone that when he's hot, when he's not, he's not. But I just imagine if he had, because Denny Bouanga, one of my favorite players to watch. I mean, love him, hate him, I'm entertained by him. And if Celio had Bouanga's spirit in him, for lack of a better term, that's a heck of a player. Because we know Celio, when he's confident, he can score bangers. He loves a banger from outside the box. I wish he would shoot the ball more. Honestly, I think Celio kind of falls into a rut, kind of like Robert Thomas does at times for the Blues, where he's so unselfish and he doesn't want to come off as selfish that, he's, instead of taking, an opportunity, he'll sometimes try to make a pass and it ends up being a bad pass, and that leads to dropped confidence. I would love if Celio just had some swag to him. That would be a hell of a player.
Yeah, Tom, I think one other guy that I could name, and again, I don't know how he fits into the team, but like Quinn Sullivan for Philly. He's among the top players when it comes to open play pass shot creating actions per 90 minutes, and he's about middle of the row in progressive passes. But if you're looking for somebody who's going to create chances as a creator, Quinn Sullivan's right there with him.
Well, isn't he still babysitting his younger brother though?
Probably.
Kevin, yeah.
Yeah, probably, yeah. But he's only 21. He's super young himself. So.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, Quinn's someone that I can see in a couple years going to another club elsewhere. Some comments in the chat: if Sam Adeniran got Jose Kojima's smarts and work ethic, oh my God, that would be you're talking about Jason Bourne right there.
If that would have happened, Klaus wouldn't have seen the pitch again after he got hurt.
Yeah, that's the thing with Kojima is that. His heart's there. His heart's there. His mind's there. Kojima is not a supreme athlete. He part of what makes Kojima work so well and what endears me to him is work rate. But he's not exactly Denny Bouanga out there. That's a good shout, Aaron Ed. JT, a few funny comments in here. Jared Stroud, JT Kirsting wants him back. Aaron Hansen suggesting Sebastian Berhalter. That guy's going to Europe. His next stop. Probably sometime after the World Cup. Drew wanted Espinoza. Here's the thing with Espinoza, though. He's not the right fit for us. And I know what you're saying. He's a great player. Of course, he's productive. He's great. We're not there for an Espinoza. Espinoza went to Nashville for a reason, and that's because they're a contender. And he gets to play alongside Mukhtar and Surridge and be a part of a great attack. We're not competing yet. If you're Espinoza, you're 30 years old. You've played the last couple of years at San Jose, which has been a depressing experience. So you probably want to, play for a title at this point. So great player. If we were better, I would have loved to have me some Espinoza. 100%. It's just he was not the right fit for us. That's just the way it is.
So speaking of fits, guys, if you were the city, if you're Corey Ray right now, what do you need? Like, what is the first position you go to fill now? And I hate to go all the way back to the top of the show and say, well, this is the roster, but kind of talking about it since we're talking about dream players, like what is the position of need right now for City, you think?
Jerry Hayes, you can stop typing in the chat right now because I'm going to say Henry Kessler. We need Henry Kessler, or we need a reasonable facsimile of Henry Kessler, because as much as I'm intrigued by Lillington as our starting right center back, I'm a little worried it's too early for him. And not only that, but Lillington. So remember when he was drafted, how a lot of people were saying, please don't draft him as a center back because he's a midfielder. Mm-hmm. So if he's this hybrid type and you're throwing him as a young 21-year-old to the Wolves as a center back in MLS, I'm a little worried about that, guys.
Yeah. I'm just gonna quote Matt Baker. He said, if you're relying on a newly drafted super draft pick as your starting left back, you're not very good at roster management or something of that effect, is what I think he said. Yeah. And but he's dead on, and I'm not going to say it any better than he did. So I'm not going to waste my time trying. But and I agree with Ethan in the chat that Fall and Kessler partnership from last year. If Kess can stay healthy, I would take that almost any day against almost any team. You've got the aggressive ball attacking center back. I'm going to go make that tackle and fall. And you've got that stay at home kind of sweeper, protect the castle, Kessler in front of Berkey. And that worked. What didn't work was the fall Hebert partnership on the last day. And I don't know that I trust Baumgartel to have the athleticism to do the Kessler role full time.
In less than 12 parsecs?
No.
That's where my mind went. So it's funny. Like someone asked me that earlier today. Like, what would you prefer? And at first I said wingback. I will say I said wingback because our depth there is absolutely nightmarish at this point. When you first think about it, but then we still have Thomas Totland. He's gonna be back. He's out of the doghouse. He's probably our starting right back or right wing back. We were talking Jake earlier. I want to see more from Tyson Pierce. I want to see, not as a starter, but just getting minutes. We know Yezio Orozco can play out there, and if he's going to be on our roster, we need to play him somewhere. We also know he can be a makeshift left back, although he's not a left-footed player, so I would still like to see us get, even if we sign Wallem and we don't get Schnegg, I would like us to see get another left back or left wing back at some point. And then we were talking about Durkin. Durkin could, I want to see what Durkin does at right back. So we have options there. To me, though, center back is standing out like a sore thumb to me at this point. There is, especially if you're going to be a three in the back. I'm getting horrible flashbacks to Olaf Ball and seeing copious amounts of Josh Yarrow because we had to play three center backs and Olaf's strategy was oops, all center backs. So yeah, that's what I would do.
Yep.
Jake, what would your choice be?
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same way. Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of choices, so we got to talk about something else that was unveiled during the holiday season during our little break. So I want a show of hands from everyone. Jeremy and Jake, as well as the chat. Who is getting a Yeti this season? Jeremy's getting one. Jake's getting one. Chat, let's see those hands. So I'm not raising my hand. I'm going to explain. So, Amy Murr, are you in the chat? I think I saw you earlier. I bring you up because she makes these fantastic bracelets for City fans at the Luligan tailgate and the Santos tailgate. So I always set them on top of my Yeti. Just when I go out the door for game days, I remember to bring both. So this is my 2025 Yeti. As you can see, I personalized it. It is very much mine. It does get me some questions at the gate because I have so many stickers on it, but I do keep the logo showed. So that's my 2025 Yeti. Right now, it does not have a purpose because it is not going to be able to be used at Energizer Park next season. Speaking of no purpose, if I move the mic out of the way, you might be able to see my 2024 Yeti right there. It is currently being used as a holder for the San Diego FC home opener against St. Louis that I got. And it's also being used as a flag holder. Do you know why it's being used as a holder for my flag and my patch? Because it has no other use. Because I can't take it to City Park. And I don't need this many Yetis. So here's my thing with the Yetis, and I'm seeing a lot of people are going to get the Yetis this year, and that's fine. That is fine. It is practical if you have season tickets. It's practical if you go to all the City 2 games. And I will say my hand is somewhere around here. It's not a no, it's not a yes at this point. Only because I find I drink beer more at games lately anyway. My issue, though, is for a club that proclaims zero goal and trying to be green and trying to be environmentally friendly and also fan safe, which I've seen Ace try to make this argument in favor of the Yeti. How is a metal Yeti that could be used as a blunt force object if you were walking in the back of an alley and you're accosted by a unfriendly person, how is that safe? The whole thing to me just seems hypocritical. And we are having to go under another year where we have to buy another Yeti. So guys, Am I making too much out of this? Because to me, I just feel the annual Yeti program is getting a bit silly.
I don't
And you
think
can
it's
disagree. It's fine.
no, I don't think it's invalid. I mean, so again, if I was, I'll put it this way. If I had gone to like, so let's go back in time, right? So last year I went to like 15, 16 games. The year before I only went to like 3 or 4. If I had been only going to 3 or 4 games, it wouldn't be worth it to me because you're talking between $7 and $10 for, let's say, a drink or a bottle of water. So over the course of a season, if you go to, say 11, 12, 13 games, it pays for itself. It's not bad. To your point, do I need 5 Yetis, 4 Yetis? No. But I'm going to use them as a coffee mug, right? It's a way that I can still show my passion for the club, I guess, at work or at another place, wherever. Just because the season's over doesn't mean I have to stop using it. But if we can't, I guess what I would like to see, if you buy it, it would be great if they would like do a buyback program or something.
Yes. Baker suggested that.
Well, I thought he suggested a recycle, but I was thinking, but that would be the purpose of it, right? You buy it back, give you like a credit for the next season. That's right. Baker did say that. So credit to Matt Baker again for that idea because it's a good one.
Yeah, it's a good one, and it does align with City's vision of being zero goal and environmentally friendly, because then presumably they could do the Yeti buyback program themselves, because Yeti does Yeti themselves have a buyback program where they will take your Yetis and give you like a store credit or something like that. I would love it if I could even if it's just like if I can take this in and get like $10 in City Pay. And I know it's going to be recycled. That's fine. And I know I saw Aaron in the comments saying, well, some people use them outside of Energizer Park as well. They are functional cups. Well, let me tell you, if I showed you my glass cabinet where I keep all my glasses and all my cups, I have the cups and glasses per human ratio in my apartment is probably like 50-1 because I just like collecting odd glasses and stuff like that. I do not need a Yeti every year. I don't need it. I'm a single guy that lives with a cat. I don't need 3 Yetis in my life. I mean, at most, I need 1. But I'm with Chris Gebhardt. I've seen others suggest this as well. A license plate sticker to renew it would make more sense than buying a new one every year. I know Brian Simpson has been trumpeting that as well. Kayla is in agreement of that. But yeah, Jake, your thoughts on the Yeti program, and what would you rather the club do?
I'm with you guys on the license plate program. Actually, I think that's a good idea. But then I remember we live in St. Louis. Nobody re-ups their plates.
That's true. We'll finally have a license plate renewal program that works in the city of St. Louis. Who knew? Who knew, Carolyn Kindle, that you would solve that problem when you started this club? Yeah, Aaron Ed, this is very much a St. Louis thing. So, I think we're going to wind it down a little bit. We've been going for a total of almost 2 hours here, but I want to show some love while we're talking about merchandise and spending money. I want to show some love to some friends of ours, that being Flyover Footy. So, Flyover Footy, they have a new Olive in Your kit. So it just came out over the weekend. And I am proud to say that I did work with Matt Baker a little bit on this design. He wanted some advice on it, and I gave him, a few pointers on it. But this is it's a city red with the dark blue and the energy yellow accents. It's the design is fleur-de-lis surrounded by sound waves, and then these little lines here, that is the rivers. I think they knocked this one out of the park, guys.
Absolutely.
Oh, it was an immediate pre-order, or I guess it's not a pre-order, but it's a buy, immediate buy.
Well, it was a reflexive order for me for sure. And the cool thing that they're doing is that for every jersey sold, $10 will be donated to Flyover Footy's charity of choice in 2026. Which I actually overlooked when I pre-ordered. I would have bought it without that, regardless. But yeah, very, very cool kit from Flyover Footy. It is on oliveandyork.com. And so is my Soccer Zombie kit for 2026. It is the Republic of Ireland kit, the away kit from 1994. It's a tribute to that. But it doesn't have to be green and white. It could be blue and white if you wanted, or it could be black and blue. I know a lot of people like that one.
Black and blue. Oh yeah.
That's the one I ordered.
Yep, that's the one I'm gonna order.
You'll see me in that. You'll see me in the black and blue, and you'll see me in the white and green this year. I ordered both. But if you're also into a spooky thing, this is like a really good like Halloween jersey. You know, it's got with the black and the green and the orange. But it's also like if you wanted an Ireland kit but darker, basically that's it. Jake, I got to give you credit. Because you were the one when I was talking about these jerseys. You suggested you wanted a black Soccer Zombie jersey, so the black versions probably don't happen without you.
Yay!
So thank Jake for that. But I also
You're welcome, everybody. You're welcome.
I just wanted to give people options in general because the last two jerseys of mine, the first one was I called the Croatian emo kit. That had a very set design, and then last year's was the 1950 tribute kit, so that had to be in that kind of style. But Aaron going with the black and green. Drew likes the black and blue. Felix likes the black and green. See, this is another reason why I went with the multiple choices, was because I found that people were liking different combos. And so it's like, if they want them, if that's the color combo they want, why not offer it to them? So yeah, that is now on sale as well. So they both came out at about the same time this weekend, actually. And I will say that proceeds from jersey sales will go towards Gateway Football Group, which is a new 501c3 fan-owned soccer team that I'm a part of trying to build that is going to be playing in 2027, but we'll also be giving back to the St. Louis community by offering charitable contributions, affordable and accessible options for fans to come together as well. So that is my charity this year, is a brand new club that's going to be supporting the community. So there's two kit options for you. Jeremy, you've bought both. I think Jake, I think you're in the market for buying both as well. Any thoughts?
No, I'm 100% at least buying the black and blue one.
Yeah.
I went with the black and blue. I like the white and green because of the ties to the 94 Ireland team.
Yeah.
But I have a thing about white kits. I don't like white kits.
See, so I'm with you on that because again, you know me, I travel. I do a lot of, sideline soccer vlogging, which means I'm running up and down the field in the, heat of summer. And unfortunately, I'm like any other man in that I sweat. And so my first Soccer Zombie jersey last year with the white and with the sash, by the time August rolled around, it looked like something pulled out of the wreckage in Chernobyl. It was just disgusting. So I had to get another one. So I'm with you on the white kit. I did get the white and green though. I am a quarter Scots-Irish, so yep. I'm actually, if Ireland does make it to the World Cup, I'm going to support them in the World Cup coming up. So, because who doesn't love an underdog, right? Yep. But so yeah, those kits are available. I love working with Olive and York. They were great to work with. They killed it on my design and Flyover Footy's design. So support your local content creators. But that's not all.
No, because Tom, we just had a lot of fun playing with the St. Louligans and American Outlaws. So what is that we're looking at? This
is the 2026 St. Louligans soccer jersey. This is their annual kit.
Nice.
And yeah, this one You can see that you got the fun striping going on down the middle, with the alternating red shades, the logos going
Sure.
up the side. I mean, this is well thought out of, and of course, we can always thank one man for the St. Louis designs every year in and year out, Mr. Jimmy Blood.
So I think I may be wrong on the manufacturer, but the blue shoulders going down the length of the arm, that like giving me like 90s like Umbro
Kappa.
vibes.
Kappa.
Oh, it's Kappa.
Yes, Kappa with the
Yeah.
the back to back
Like,
sitting. Yes,
I saw that and I'm like, oh, I love it. Like, and I normally am like, I don't like centralized badges on a kit, but
me neither.
man, but I really like that. I think that might be my favorite. That's probably my second favorite Luligans kit that I've seen yet.
I love the font.
Mm-hmm.
I love the font for the words and the numbers. Like, this is, I can't think of another. I mean, and again, I've been a Luligan for just a couple of years. I wasn't really around there in the FC days, but like, this kit. I mean, the font that they used, it just this is. I like it. I like it a lot. I wasn't sure about it at first, but I like it now.
And Chris mentioned on the long sleeve, yeah, no, with that pattern going all the way down, man.
Ooh, you got a good point there.
Yeah.
But no, that one is that's probably my favorite red one that they've done, because my favorite one is the 2023, the all blue that had the red.
Yeah,
I loved that because I'm a sucker for a dark navy kit.
Oh, for sure. And you know what? That long sleeve. I mean, the first few games of the year are probably gonna be a little cold.
Yeah.
So sleeves do help.
Calendar shift too.
What was that?
The calendar shift as well.
Oh, the calendar shift. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So yeah, it's you have three great kit options to start your soccer spending season on. So this is on ultras.com. If you follow the St. Louligans public page on Facebook, there's a link there that you can order. I don't think these will be ready. There's no way they'll be ready for the AGM coming up a week from Saturday. But presumably they'll be ready in time for the season. And I will say as well, if you order either Flyovers kit or my kit from Alvin York, you should, if you ordered now, you should get them the first week of February. So those will be new season ready as well. So, and of course, one reason I think we are putting out kits right now is because St. Louis City has not put out their kit yet. And there was an image floating around of a gold kit. And I'm not going to belabor this too much just because I'm skeptical on whether this is actually legit. And I have reasons for that, being skeptical on it. So I'm not going to devote a whole lot of time to it. But if St. Louis did go with a gold kit, what would you think of that?
Well, it wouldn't have been my first pick for a alternate colored kit. I want a dark navy one. Yeah. I think the frustration that I have with it being gold isn't a part of our color scheme. Energy yellow is. And look, here's the thing. I said it off the top, guys. I don't like yellow kits. I know I'm wearing one right now, but I don't like yellow. I just never have. But I would have much rather gone full. If we're gonna go with something gold or yellow, go all in at that point.
Yeah,
that's where I'm at. Jake, what do you think?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm indifferent on it. One reason I'm indifferent on it is because it's not the Confluence kit, and I still maintain that the Confluence kit was our best looking kit to this point.
Even though you couldn't see the details from more than 2 meters away.
Well, that was more the Forever Red, with the sash that you can. I mean, you had to be like 5 inches away to see that.
Fair enough.
You could see the detail from. I mean, a little bit, but I like the fact that it had its own. Like, each kit was unique in that pattern, and I just thought it looked sharp on
fair.
TV. But it's also a white kit too, so I know, Jeremy, you wouldn't be a fan.
I mean, I have one, but you're right.
Yeah. Well, I have 2, but only because one of them was like $20 on eBay because Adidas had it marked way down. So,
right.
which, by the way, remember with the new kit, if you're uncertain about it, wait till the off season in the winter. You'll get it for like $25. So, just saying. Just saying. All right, we're going to wrap it up tonight. We've gone a long time, and I've gone a long time without a drink because I actually forgot to bring my water with me here, and I didn't want to leave you guys. So thank you so much for joining us. We're going to be back on January 27th, so 2 Tuesdays from now. And then when we get into February, we're going to get into our regular schedule. At that point, we'll still have a couple weeks where we skip just because it's preseason. But then once the season gets rolling, we will have weekly episodes once the season gets going. And I'm going to drop this in here, or just a reminder, follow SDL Soccer News on YouTube because starting in February, that will be the only YouTube outlet for this show. Go ahead.
Real quick before we get out of here, I want to give a couple moments of thank you. I want to say thanks again to the Designated Players Pod, the DP Pod 1 on X, for their contributions to the Daniel Edelman conversation. They took some time to talk to us. Also want to give another thank you to Drew Young, Utes Media, for assistance in getting some of these quotes that we were able to share with you tonight from Berkey and DeMay and others. So I want to make sure to just say thank you to all of our friends in the content creator community.
And thank you to Michael Batista from Hudson River Blue for giving us some more context on Daniel Edelman, which, by the way, a little bit of breaking news to end this. And this is Michael Batista himself, just posted this on Blue Sky. Report. Sources tell me Red Bull New York is hiring Mike Sorber as an assistant coach under Michael Bradley.
Whoa.
Wow.
So Mike Sorber, that is St. Louis City Academy's Mike Sorber.
Shoot.
Yeah, Jake, you like Sorber.
Well, they also lost or might lose Larson Hackworth as well. So that's...
Yeah, well, worth noting, Sorber served under Bob Bradley before, so there's a connection there with the Bradley family. But yeah, Michael Batista on Blue Sky with that report. We might be losing Mike Sorber. So, but thank you to Michael for that. Also, again, we might, when the preseason rolls around, we might do those watch-alongs. Kayla, thank you for letting me borrow your boyfriend for that. Assuming that he is indeed free. Again, I might reshape my Discord into a Red Smoke Rising Discord, so watch for that in the coming days. I think you guys kind of convinced me to keep that alive, just in a different way. And again, let us know if you want us to start a little later going forward, because there's 127 of you watching right now. We have our highest numbers always at the end of our show, so maybe on the 27th we'll start a little later. But anyway, I'm a German who doesn't know how to say goodbye, so I'm going to say goodbye. So have a good night, everyone.